Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my best friend and co-host D-Lo, and we are Pardon My Wisdom. Today we got a very special episode for y'all today. So before we get into it, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell so you can get notifications. And again, like I said last week, it's 90% plus of y'all that ain't subscribed that's watching. So if we can please get y'all to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, that we greatly appreciate it. But anyway, like we always do, bro. How was the week, D-Lo? How was the week?
The week was good. First and foremost, was able to spend some time with my family.
Of
We,
course.
nothing changes with
Nothing
that.
changed. Nothing changed.
Yeah. We went yesterday. We actually got a chance to participate in one of my best friends' toy drives.
Okay.
Josh Bush, the Josh Bush Foundation. Every year they do a toy drive, and we were in Walmart shopping for underprivileged kids back in his hometown. Purchasing them toys to be handed out around Christmas time. So that was a excellent time, a great experience. It was Sage's first time doing it.
Dope.
So she was able to see that she is in a fortunate position, but there are individuals that are not in her position, and she's able to do her part and help to have their Christmas experience, maybe not as pleasant as hers, but at least bring some joy to their day and their hearts on Christmas.
For sure, man. Shout out to Jay Bush for that, man. That's a good foundation to have, bro. Shout out to you for that, bro.
Yep. But everything else, enjoying time with the family. Other than that, just chilling, man. How about you? How's your week?
Hey, man, my week was not as exciting as yours. Mine was just, filled with, making sure, of course, my little one is taken care of, making sure Sam is taken care of, and just basically, like I said, same stuff, different toilet, just working, making sure I'm selling cars and being able to pay the bills around here.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, same old thing, man, same old thing.
Well, I'll ask you that again next week, though. We'll see how it changes.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But what is on the docket for the day in episode 13, bro?
Episode 13 is gonna be a special one. Wish it was episode 21 or episode 2.
For sure.
But it's gonna be a special one because we're going to talk about Coach Prime and dissect his departure from Jackson State. So, we'll talk about the reaction that his departure has gotten from the college football world as well as the Black community. We'll talk about him potentially setting a new standard for the HBCU coaches, and if he's left the blueprint for how they can succeed. And then lastly, we'll talk about the money aspect of his departure from Jackson State.
For sure, man. We got a big one set up for y'all today, man. So let's get into it, D-Lo.
100. All right, so last week after winning his second SWAC championship in 3 years, Coach Prime Deion Sanders announced that he was leaving Jackson State to accept the head coaching job at Colorado. This came with much controversy and backlash from HBCU supporters who are upset that Coach Prime used HBCU as a stepping stone to get to a PWI. So, Sticks, what are your thoughts on Coach Prime leaving Jackson State after 3 seasons?
So I'm gonna be honest. Initially, I was a little hurt, mainly because I myself played at the illustrious North Carolina Central University, which is an HBCU, one of the top HBCUs, who they are playing in the Celebration Bowl coming up soon, right? So it kind of hurt me a little bit, just me being an alumnus of an HBCU and just following Coach Prime over these past 3 years and the way that he represented for HBCUs and the things that he was doing for HBCUs and trying to get HBCUs a lot more exposure, a lot more money, a lot more funding, a lot more TV time. And what he was trying to do was an amazing thing that I was seeing that I wish I had when I was playing almost 15 years ago. Well, at this point, it's been 15 years. So it's like, it hurt initially, but you have that hurt and you have that disappointment initially, but then you peel back the onion and you kind of see exactly, the why Coach Prime did what he did. You know what I'm saying? He did what he did. He took the job. It seemed like an unusual choice for Coach Prime, but he took the job at Jackson State, which was a lower division team, and they had a losing record for the past decade before he even got there. But this year, in the past 3 years, they've been doing good. 27-5 record in those 3 years, 12-0 this year with a second SWAC championship, and about to go on, just like D'Lo said, he alluded to, they're about to go on to play my alma mater, NCCU, in the Celebration Bowl coming up very, very soon. So he had the resume to do that, to move on. He, if nobody else, deserved a better job. You know what I'm saying? Deserved to go to one of these predominantly white institutions to go coach. But I mean, I had some hurt initially, but once you peel back the onion, you kind of see exactly what's going on. You kind of have a way to say, okay, I understand. Because just like he said, man, in coaching, you either get elevated or you get terminated. Ain't no other way. So that's the quote straight from Coach Prime. So what you think? How did you feel about it, bro?
So, it's always sad to see a coach leave a situation or leave your school, especially if you're supporting that school.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's doing what he's supposed to do and getting the results on the field, I think in time you can swallow him leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So in
Pause.
regards, pause for sure. But in regards in regard to Coach Prime leaving Jackson State, I
Yeah.
feel the pain of Jackson State supporters. And as HBCUs, as you just mentioned, you guys, I did not go to a HBCU. I went to a PWI. So I'm on the other side of the fence in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But as a HBCU, you guys are great. You're the alums of HBCUs always have a great sense of pride for their respective school that they attended. They have the passion and the love for the times that they shared or they spent at their HBCUs. In that regard, um, I'm always envious of those that attended HBCUs
Mm-hmm.
because I hear how you talk about it all the time. But when it comes to situations like this,
Mm-hmm.
um, I was kind of disappointed at HBCU alums because
Yeah.
during his time at Jackson State, Coach Prime did nothing but uplift HBCUs,
Mm-hmm.
did nothing HBCUs, and he did nothing but bring awareness to HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I can understand why you would be or why HBCU alums would be dis not would be hurt initially, like you said, by
Mm-hmm.
this situation because you want to keep a personality like that in the ranks of HBCUs because he's going to be the ultimate salesman. Dion has a big personality. Coach Prime has a
Mm-hmm.
big personality. He's going to draw attention just one because of who he is. He is a Hall of Fame NFL football player.
Mm-hmm.
He is a person that when he was first drafted into the NFL, he said he was going to ask the Detroit Lions to put him on. He was going to ask for so much money that the Detroit Lions were going to have to put him on layaway. So he
Yeah,
has that
facts.
personality, right? He has that personality to bring in fans and put them in the seats.
Facts.
Um, I just felt like it was the reaction that they had was just nonsensical.
It
Um,
was.
and for me, it didn't hurt me. So like you said you were hurt
A
because
little bit, yeah, I was.
yeah, you said you were hurt because you wanted him to be a part of the HBCUs. And I get that.
Mhm.
Um, I was not hurt, but I was I don't know the exact word I was looking for. I did have a little bit of wish he would have stayed at
Mhm.
least another year,
Mhm.
but I wasn't hurt by it.
Yeah.
Um, because and we'll get into this, we'll talk about it more in depth later on, but because this is just business as
Business
usual
as
when
usual, I
it
agree.
comes to the coaching profession.
Mhm. I agree, and it's one thing, and the reason why it was more so because it's a black man that's coaching at a black college, that's now going to a quote unquote white college, right? So,
Right.
and the reason why the black community was so up in arms is because they felt like Coach Prime sold a dream. They felt like Coach Prime sold a dream, and then he bailed out once he got that money from quote unquote the white man. That's what a lot of the black community is saying. But and it's one thing that because I watch a lot of sports talk radio as well. I watch a couple of podcasts on that, and I was listening to Bomani Jones, and who is also a black college graduate. He
Mm-hmm.
said that he said you weren't going to bring this attention to all these other schools in the time period he was there. If he was really going to accomplish that for HBCUs, that's like a 10-year program. That's what Bomani Jones said. And he also said he sold the big dream. Now, if you paid any attention, you knew the dream he was selling wasn't possible. It was not an achievable one that he had, but he sold it and he got people to believe it, and then he took the deuces and left.
But my
That's
question to
a
that,
strong statement. And not saying I agree with Bomani,
yeah,
but that's how a lot of the black community felt whenever they found out he was moving from an HBCU to a PWI. That's exactly that kind of encapsulates exactly what the black community thought.
yeah. But my question in rebuttal to that
Mm-hmm.
is, what else was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to just come in and be like underwhelming with his introduction and what he
Mm-hmm.
planned to do for Jackson State and HBCU? Was he just supposed to be not Deion Sanders?
Exactly.
So we talk about it was a meme of him not too long ago where he was with a reporter that they ended up find out they have a great connection, a great relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling the reporter, man, be yourself. That this ain't you. Be
Right.
yourself. So what was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to not be Deion Sanders, who I just said told the Detroit Lions he was going
Mm-hmm.
to ask for so much money he's going to put him on? That's who he is.
That's who
He is a
he is.
huge personality.
Huge.
In some regard, he is like a Donald Trump. You know, Donald
I
Trump
can see where you're going with
Donald
that.
Trump is the ultimate salesman. Everything is going to be magnificent. Everything is on the grandest scale. Everything is the best, the
Mm-hmm.
first. You know what I'm saying? That's Deion Sanders. That's who he is, the ultimate salesman.
He is.
I've never been around Deion Sanders, but I've heard many people say that he has kind of like the Steve Jobs effect. If you ever read Steve Jobs' book,
Mm-hmm.
it talks about, not comparing him to a white man, but it talks about
Facts.
how he has this kind of what is it called now? And I said that and I forget what it was, but it basically a reality distortion. So
Okay.
he's able to bend everybody's will, so to speak, to get them to do what he wants to do.
Okay.
And the same with Dion, so to speak. He has this personality that draws people in, and you want to do everything that you can to help him. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just because of who he is. He
Because of who he
knows
is.
who he is. Exactly. He's going to get the things done, or he's going to try to get the things done that he needs to achieve and be successful.
For sure. For
So
sure.
what else was he supposed to do
And
is ultimately what I'm asking.
he wasn't supposed to do anything but exactly what the hell he did. He
Right.
came in, he was himself. He used the connections that he had to be able to fly like he want to, be able to get the apparel that he needed for his players to not look like what he said was kids on the side of the street that's going to play football. Like
Right.
he had everything that he needed. He used who he was and his personality to be able to make those strides for HBCUs while he was at Jackson State. He
Mhm.
used his connections to be able to get people to at least talk about giving these HBCUs more money when they're playing these Power Five schools at the beginning of the season. He uses connections to get more TV time. He uses connections to get those airline miles and everything that Jackson State needed. This man even, which we're going to talk about soon, he used some of his money to pay for, to do things for Jackson State. So it's
Right.
like he poured so much into HBCU athletics as a whole that what do you expect for a bigger college to do to see a man that's doing this on a smaller scale? You have to believe that somebody on a larger scale is going to believe, well, he can do this here. He can definitely do it here with more resources. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So,
Exactly.
and I was, it was a shock when I heard it. Like I said, it only hurt because I am in a part of that HBCU community. But whenever I start to listen to people talk down on him as if he's Uncle Tom or Uncle Ruckus for people who know who Uncle Ruckus is, that's when it hurt me. It was like, well, was he not supposed to progress in his career? Was he not supposed to make more money? Was he not supposed to do things in other avenues to make the people around him in his community successful? Like, was he not supposed to do that? Was he just, like you said, was he supposed to just sit back and be a clam or a hermit and not be who Coach Prime is? That's what didn't make any sense for me. It's like, bro, like we really gotta stop holding our own back. That's what I want to say to the black community, because that's what it feels like here, is that you were trying to hold this man back just because the things that he did, you want him to do it for a lifetime. And that's not how these businesses work. That's not how coaching works. It's not how these contracts work.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it so even with him being the ultimate salesman, right? He did
Mm-hmm.
give hints and clues as to what his ultimate plan was. Yes, he did say God called him to be at
Right.
Jackson State and he answered collect. But even when God calls you to one place, he also can call you to move on and
Mm-hmm.
go to a different place. He also can use you in other avenues. And in his time at Jackson State, Coach Prime did a lot of things for not just Jackson State, but for HBCUs. We talked about him. He brought awareness and a heightened sense of pride
Mm-hmm.
to HBCUs. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you guys, HBCU alums, as I mentioned, has like the ultimate pride in their schools and their experiences and their times that they shared and that they had in college. He heightened that even more.
Mm-hmm.
All you hear now is, "Yeah, I go here, I went here, I went there, HBCU." You know what I'm saying? He brought awareness and push for change in how HBCUs negotiated payment in the money games they played against PWIs. We talked about that in
Mm-hmm.
episode 3. He
Mm-hmm.
brought in high caliber players and coaches to Jackson State, which before he got the number one pick or number one draft pick. Dang, I keep saying draft pick. The number one
Recruit in the country.
recruit in the
Mm-hmm.
country, Travis Hunter, to
Mm-hmm.
come to Jackson State, who he's probably going to leave with Coach Prime. But that just shows the type of person that Coach Prime is, to get that type of player to come to Jackson State, along with other players that came in through the transfer portal to
Mm-hmm.
Jackson State, who you mentioned was not, they didn't win a lot of games previous to him coming. And in the last 2 years, they've won two SWAC
Two straight
championships.
championships, 27-5. They only lost 5 games in the past 3 years, and they
You know
lost.
what I mean?
They were a losing university for a
A losing
decade before
program
him.
before that. And so for him to do all of that, and I didn't even mention him using money out of his own pocket to help, and we'll talk about this more in depth later on, but
Mm-hmm.
to use money out of his own pocket to help to build the facilities in Jackson State
Mm-hmm.
or at Jackson State. Didn't even talk about that. But for him to do all of that, to get the amount of disrespect thrown at him
For sure.
for leaving, HBCUs will be lucky to get another coach or personality of his caliber to come in to be a coach, again. The thing that I have an issue with,
Mm-hmm.
and you alluded to it, is him being called a sellout
Facts.
for the decision to leave Jackson State and go to HBCU, go to Colorado. To me,
Mm-hmm.
that is ridiculous,
Ridiculous.
because we throw around that sellout term quite loosely, and it doesn't always fit. And to me, in this situation, it truly does not fit, because he's not turning his back on the black race. There are black kids that play at Colorado. He will
Mm-hmm.
be recruiting black kids to come play at Colorado.
For
He
sure.
will be delivering the same message that he delivered at Jackson State to Colorado. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, at Colorado. So he's not a sellout
At all.
in the slightest bit.
Not in the community at all, in the slightest bit. He was. I think with that. Well, I think it was a term that was thrown all around at Prime, regardless of it was in the community or if it was for HBCUs in general. I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it came from, just like Bomani said. Bomani Jones, when he said that he sold a dream, and it it doesn't have to be a dream, though. I mean, it is a dream to be able to get, in which the dream can come true. It's not anything that's impossible, for sure, because the
Mhm.
dream that everybody is talking about was being able to bring more awareness towards HBCUs to be on the same, close to the same level as these PWIs, because for Bomani Jones to say it with they were so people were sold a dream, that's crazy because the thing that I have an issue with is yes, Coach Prime was doing a lot of these things on his own and bringing awareness and the things that we alluded to or that we talked about, but there's so many followers that are waiting for Coach Prime to do everything for them, and opposed
Mhm.
to looking at what Coach Prime has done and taking it from there and say, okay, shoot, he going to a PWI, but I still want my HBCUs to be uplifted and make the money that they deserve. So I'm gonna fill the shoes of Coach Prime and try to do the same thing, try to keep this process going, that he started. Now,
Right.
understand those are big shoes to fill, but at the same time, they can be filled. You know what I'm
It
saying?
can be done.
So it's not a dream deterred. It's something
Mhm.
that that can still happen because it's still in the process of becoming something amazing for HBCUs. So I don't the sellout thing is crazy, man, because like you said, he's still gonna be recruiting black kids or black athletes to go to Colorado. He's not gonna stop that. And I honestly don't think from the man that I think Coach Prime is, I don't like I said, I've never been around him or do I know him, but the man that I think Coach Prime is, I still think that he's gonna still be bringing awareness to HBCUs at this PWI because he
I
are
100. Yeah, go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead. My fault.
because he's already been talking about how I just he's already been talking about how these PWIs need to give these colleges, these smaller schools, more money to get beat up on and beat down at the beginning of the season. Which shit, some of these schools be beating up on some of these PWIs, but I think he's going to be one of the first, and this probably can go into to the next segment, to the next idea or next topic. But I think he's going to be one of those the first PWI schools that actually gives a black college more money to play them.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Um, yeah, I feel the same way. Just have the same sentiment about that. Is because how can you be on one hand, how can you be at a HBCU
Mm-hmm.
and be calling for change to get things done, talking to other HBCUs about essentially having a collective bargain agreement that they won't negotiate for anything less than a certain amount of money,
Right,
but then go to a PWI and go against what you were just
and not
preaching.
uphold that exactly.
And in that regard, I would call him a sellout.
In that regard, I would too.
You know what I mean?
If he doesn't continue the continue the path that he actually paved for HBCUs, and
right.
I agree. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, no, it's all good. I was just gonna, say in that regard, I can see him being a sellout because then it is a dream that he sold, and he's not holding up to the other end of the dream now that he's a part of the PWI.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the statement that Bomani Jones made about him saying he sold him a dream and it wasn't attainable,
Mm-hmm.
well, as you mentioned, he set the blueprint. Now the next person that comes in at Jackson State or any other HBCU has that blueprint, and we'll talk about that in the next section segment of what they need to do and what they can do in order to be
Mm-hmm.
successful at not just the college that they represent and that they're coaching at, but also try to get the collective HBCUs together and rally the troops
Mm-hmm.
to uplift HBCUs because this is just like I said, this is just if HBCUs want to be a part of that bigger conversation of what college football, the college football experience, and having the equality of what PWI's experience with their college programs.
Mm-hmm.
This is a normal experience. I mean, shit. Sometimes you have coaches going from one job to the next every year.
Every single year, exactly. Yep.
So I mean, listen, you got to take the good with the bad sometimes. Yes, Coach Prime was there for 3 years. Yes, Jackson State did give him his first college coaching job,
Mm-hmm.
but let's not be naive. It was a mutually beneficial contract between Jackson State and Coach Prime. For Coach Prime, he like I said, he got that first college job, which allowed him to get the job that he has now at Jackson State. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
at Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think he'll stop at
I don't think
Colorado.
so either.
He'll probably be at a bigger college in another 2 or 3 years as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jackson State got the seats in the stand, the butts in the stands. They got the awareness of what Jackson State can offer,
Mm-hmm.
not just student athletes, but normal students as well.
Mm-hmm.
And HBCUs as a whole received a boost in what they can be.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree, man. So that we got to stop with this whole sellout conversation, man, because this man didn't sell out. He didn't sell out at all. And just like I said, moving forward, the man that he is, he gonna keep pushing for that awareness for HBCUs, even at Colorado. So we got to stop in our community trying to be them crabs in a barrel, bro. Let's not do that. Let's
Mhm.
not be those folk, because if it wasn't Coach Prime, it was gonna be somebody else.
There's gonna be somebody
If it
else.
wasn't Coach Prime, it was going to be somebody else. And just because of the personality and the figure that Coach Prime is, now you hold him to a higher esteem, which you should, but you should also allow this man to progress in his career. This is a man that came from a offensive coordinator spot at a private school in Texas to getting a head coaching job at Jackson State, which many can say that he wasn't even qualified for.
Mhm.
But the man did his thing. And then now he's progressing again to say that he's going to Colorado. What was you about to say? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I would not say he
He wasn't
wasn't
qualified.
qualified
Well,
for it
I wasn't
because
saying it in that manner, but you know what I mean. Go ahead.
yeah. No. I know what you meant, and I wasn't taking it that way,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was just saying I wouldn't even say he isn't qualified because anytime that you're an NFL Hall of Famer, um, for the most part, you're qualified to coach at a I won't okay, maybe I
I
won't say
wouldn't
a
say
head coaching.
anywhere. I wouldn't say anywhere, but like
Yeah,
you said, yeah, okay, go ahead. I'm my fault.
but he's qualified to coach at,
Jackson State
Jackson State. Because I
and
mean,
the like.
okay,
Yeah,
Eddie George is the coach at
true.
Tennessee State. So
Yeah,
was he not qualified to
true,
coach it? You
true,
know what I mean?
true,
So
true, true,
yeah.
true. But I mean,
Okay, and a better. This is the last one. If he's not qualified to be the coach at Jackson State, then we all know Steve Nash was not qualified to be the coach of the Brooklyn Nets.
okay. It's definitely comparable. It's 100% comparable. It's 100%
Yes,
comparable because
thank
you
you.
already know how I feel about Steve Nash being a coach over there. You
Exactly,
know how I feel about that. We talked about that
exactly,
a couple of episodes ago too. So I mean,
exactly.
so yeah, I mean, in that instance, yeah, he wasn't qualified as far as experience, but who he is and the personality he has and how he has the ability to move people, definitely
Yeah,
100% qualified, 100%,
100%.
and being a Hall of Famer. So that makes a big change too. You know, that puts
That
him
holds big weight,
holds huge
regardless.
weight, huge
Yeah,
weight. But yeah. So I mean, my final wisdom on this whole thing, as far as the community, we got to stop. We gotta
100%.
we gotta stop, man, because this man was going to progress regardless of how you feel or not. Because the Brown that I know, he don't care about your feelings, honestly. Now he cares about the community, he cares about the people, but as far as how you feel about him, he don't care. Look good, play good, win good. All you know what he say. You know what I'm saying? You
Look
look good, you
good,
play good.
feel good.
Look good, you
Feel
feel good.
good,
You feel good, you
play
play
good.
good. You know what I'm
Play
saying?
good, they pay good.
Exactly. So he don't care about how you personally feel about him, but the community itself, he's still gonna help. So we got to stop
Yeah,
with this crab in the barrel mentality, man, and let that man do his thing, bro. Stop. Get out your feelings. Get out your
right.
feelings. Unless you gonna take his path and walk his footsteps and do things for HBCUs, unless you gonna do it, don't worry about what he doing. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I'll even add to what you just said quickly, and then I'll get to my final wisdom on it. If you are not giving back to HBCUs, your opinion is not relevant whatsoever.
Are you
If
listening,
you
folks?
if you weren't giving back to Jackson State University or North Carolina
Your
A&T
own personal
or
HBCU that you went to,
or
if you ain't giving back,
or yeah, or whatever the case may be, Morehouse, Howard, all these schools, if you're not giving back to them, he don't care. The players don't care. So move on. But my final thought on this is I'm not gonna act like this is an exclusive. This I'm not gonna act like this is only a black issue, right? I'm not gonna
mm-hmm,
act like only the black community acts like this when they are disappointed by somebody that they put so much stock into.
mm-hmm,
But labeling Deion Sanders as a sellout because he decided to go to Colorado is a bit much to me. If you
100%.
feel like if you feel like you were swindled by him, maybe you decided not to hear what he was saying in numerous interviews when asked about coaching at a Power Five school. He always says, "If that is the opportunity that comes for me,
Mm-hmm,
I'll definitely go and see what they have to offer."
mm-hmm,
He never promised the HBCUs that he would remain there at a lifetime. Even in the interview that we covered, in episode was it 3, episode 8? one of the two. I
Mhm.
can't remember. It was episode 8. He talked about no, it was 3. It was 3. He talked about going to see what a Power 5 school had to offer.
Mhm.
So if you decided to just let that go in one ear and out the other, then you being upset about a HBC about him leaving the HBCU community is, that's your own fault.
That's your own
And
fault.
so maybe you don't know about the coaching profession and how, like I said, coaches go from one job to the next trying to get to the best program that they possibly can because it's all
Mhm.
about resources.
Mhm.
But if you don't know, you for sure know now.
For sure, no now. Because and like you said, it's all about those resources, man. The
All
the the,
about them.
the big the bigger schools with the bigger budgets and the bigger alumni system. You know what I'm saying? The bigger quarterback clubs and all of that that pour more money into these programs. That's what those resources are. And a lot of HBCUs don't have that, which is unfortunate. But that's what Coach Prime is pushing towards. And I think with this movie, he's still going to push towards that for HBCUs regardless.
Yep. All right, so we know that Dion demanded more of those associated with Jackson State and the football program, as well as HBCUs in general. Um, but has he set a new standard for HBCUs coaches and left the blueprint for them to follow? Left the blueprint for them to follow and succeed at the HBCU level. Sticks. How do you feel about him being the new litmus test for HBCU coaches
Mhm.
going forward?
Just like I said here a little while ago, people, especially coming to Jackson State, but there's some big shoes to fill in this HBCU market now with Coach Prime gone, and I think he's still going to aid within a lot of the. Just like I said before, he's going to aid within a lot of the progress as far as HBCUs are concerned. But he has definitely left a blueprint because if you followed Coach Prime over the past 3 years, the things that he said to the media, the things that he said about HBCUs, the things that the uneven, the unfair gap between the resources of PWIs and HBCUs, he's brought a lot of awareness to it. Now, what I believe coaches moving forward need to do is to keep pushing towards that awareness and showing that awareness to everybody. Because the only way that we're going to keep Coach Prime's dream alive as far as uplifting these HBCUs and these smaller institutions is to keep pushing towards that. You know, a lot of the a lot of people or a lot of coaches, a lot of people around the athletic arena, they, like you said, they don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes of a lot of these organizations, a lot of these universities. So they say things in haste because they don't know.
Mhm.
But he was bringing it to the spotlight to be able to let people know exactly what's really going on. So I think he's left a blueprint in the sense that people who are current coaches and coaches coming up can push towards that same dream. But my question to you is, do you think that this dream is something that this blueprint that he left is something that these new black coaches or current black coaches that are coming into HBCUs can keep going?
Absolutely. I think they can continue to do it. It's just going to take the right person to
Hmm.
obtain that dream and to keep the dream going. But I mean, okay, yeah, we're talking about Deion Sanders, arguably one of the best cornerbacks to play in the NFL, to play
Hmm.
football in general. We're talking about, as we've been saying this whole podcast, a big personality. But there are multiple other big personalities out there. There are multiple other Hall of Fame football players that have a big following that could be a coach in the HBCU
Hmm.
to bring the same awareness to HBCUs. Yes, that was a part of his blueprint
Hmm.
um, to to have success in the HBCU, but just as with a blueprint for building up a house, you can make alterations and still get the same type of results, right? So
Hmm.
you don't have to be a big personality to have the type of success that he had at Jackson State, because we all know that the reason he had the type of success that he had at Jackson State is because, one, he is a big personality, and because of that personality, he was able to attract high caliber players to Jackson
Hmm.
State. And moving forward, that's how he's going to get high caliber players at Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to have a big personality to attract or to build a relationship with a kid to have him to come to your school.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about presenting the right element and presenting the right elements of the school and the right things that he wants to get out of his experience at college, and presenting yourself in the right manner that he can connect with, and he's going to come.
Mm-hmm.
As far as everything else in the HBCUs, winning solves a lot.
When he
And
solves a
if you're
whole lot.
winning, you know what I'm saying? If you're winning, and then if you're asking for certain things while you're winning, if you're bringing attention to certain things while you're winning, most times than not, people might not like what you're saying, but they're going to pay attention to it because you bring validity in the fact that you're winning and you're still talking about certain things. If you were
Mm-hmm.
losing and then talking about certain things, people are like, well, okay, first you got to win some games, and
Gotta win
then
some
we can
games
talk
first,
about
fact.
this.
But boy,
You
you
know what I'm
ain't winning.
saying?
What you come in
And
here
then
asking for money?
e- exactly. And
Right.
then we can talk about it. And so the reason that Coach Prime was able to do the things that he was able to do is, one, he played at he played at Florida State University,
Mm-hmm.
which, before they had a little downfall that they, or not downfall, but before they had a little lull in winning, was one of the top programs in America. He played in the NFL, so he knows how things should be ran. And
Mm-hmm.
for some time, it seems like black colleges, in the sports aspect, were not run in the way that they should be run. And
100%.
so him coming into it saying, okay, yeah, we don't have the resources. That's fine. Let me use my connections to get these resources, to get the things that we can put ourselves close to the same par as these PWI schools, and then
Mm-hmm.
attract these kids. Long story short, yes, another person can come in to do the things that Deion Sanders has done, um, at the Jackson State and at the HBCU level, and they don't necessarily have to be the same person or be in the same mold as a Deion Sanders. They can be themselves, follow the blueprint outside of being Deion, and still
Mm-hmm.
be successful not only at the college that they represent, but also the HBCU level as a whole.
Right, right, right. And I mean, sports at these. I mean, if you know anything about as far as the history of historical black colleges in general, these schools were integrated because, of course, black people weren't allowed to go to these other institutions, and because of the
Right.
segregation and stuff like that. So a lot of these schools were created in the early 1900s, like late 1800s, early 1900s, right? But
Hmm.
sports wasn't even introduced to HBCUs until like the early, very, very early, maybe late 1890s, but early 1900s, a lot of these universities. So, and
Hmm.
they were still segregated, you know what I'm saying? And it was a lot. And even still, this is 1,000 years. So, what, yeah, this is 1,000 years. So, even with that being the case, you got to understand that, like, it's been a problem with these universities kind of trying to compete with these PWIs for a long time. Long
Right.
time. I said 1,000 years is actually like 100 years, but 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 uh, but it didn't start like the integration as far as like these schools being able to, like, white kids being able to go to HBCUs and black kids going to be able to go to PWIs wasn't until like the late 1960s.
The
So
integration, yeah.
yeah, so it's one of those things where that was the golden age of HBCUs between that time up until the 1960s. And we
Mm,
what prime, huh? What?
you said that was a golden age of HBCU
As far
sports?
as athletics, yes.
Uh, I don't know about that.
What you think?
I would
What
I
you
would
think?
I would tend to agree. I would say like the 60s, 70s, and 80s
Yeah,
was because
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
you
what I'm
gotta
saying.
think of, oh, well, you said the before the 60s.
Well, that's whenever it integrated was in the 60s, but the golden years were around like the 60s, 70s, 80s. I agree with you.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. The way,
Yeah,
all
I
right,
guess the way I
move
said it
on.
beginning. Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with
the
you.
way you worded it made it seem like it was
Hmm.
prior to integration was the golden years of HBCUs.
Right, and a lot of these HBCUs, they were a lot more. Of course, it was a lot more athletes at these HBCUs, but now a lot of these these students and these athletes were able to now, since the integration, start to go to PWIs. And
Mhm.
these HBCUs didn't, since they were losing their athletes, and now they don't have the funding. Now that causes for a lull in that in these HBCUs to kind of get left behind, because now we already didn't have the funding. Now you're taking our athletes now too. So what are we supposed to do? And what Prime was trying to do with this blueprint, man, is to bring that golden age back and to be
Right.
able to keep our prime athletes, whether white or black, it don't matter. These prime athletes being 4 and 5 star athletes coming to these HBCUs to be able to compete with these higher level universities. So coaches need to be nobody can be like Prime. Prime is a personality among himself. Nobody can be like him. But just
Right.
like D'Lo said, you have to find something within yourself to be able to present the right element of the university and the right element of yourself to have these big time recruits come to your school to be able to compete and make more money for the university. But again, what D'Lo said, winning does a lot for the university and these recruits. So if these recruits, they might like you, but they might see the past 3 years you 3-30. So I'm not going. Me being a 5 star recruit, I ain't gonna come play for no team that's only won 3 games in the past 3 years. Why would I do that? So,
Right.
but he definitely paved the way for a lot of coaches to be able to see what to do and how to do it and just replicate it. And if you can replicate it on a larger scale and make it better, then that's when the dream keeps going. But just like D'Lo said,
Mhm.
it's gonna take a visionary, bro. It's gonna take somebody, not just a coach or an athletic director. It's gonna take somebody that can be able to put the academic mission together, the cultural mission together, and the athletic mission together to be able to propel not just their school but all black schools in general. So it's gonna take somebody that's willing to take on that task for sure.
Well, I mean, I don't even think it really will require a visionary.
Hmm.
I think it just needs to be somebody. It needs to essentially be a tailor,
Hmm.
somebody that can take what Coach Prime has set in place and then tailor it to how they carry themselves, how they carry, how they see their program being,
Hmm.
because he is big on social media right now.
Hmm.
Almost anywhere you can go, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you can find a Coach Prime video.
Hmm.
He was big on getting all of the HBCUs together and negotiating not only contracts for when they play PWIs in these money games, he was trying to also get them TV contracts.
Hmm.
He worked with multiple, he used his you mentioned this, he used his connections at these companies, these Fortune 500 companies, to help upgrade the facilities along with his money, and we'll talk about that in the next segment, along
Hmm.
with his money to upgrade the facilities at Jackson State. So it's not going to require, I don't think it's going to require a visionary. I just think it's going to require somebody to take a look at the blueprint that he set, skim through those pages, take out what they don't like, add in
Hmm.
what they do like, and then use the rest of it to be successful.
Yeah.
Because it, if you take Coach Prime out of the situation, it's easy to say, or I won't say easy, but you could say, all right, let me contact XYZ
Hmm.
to help me get a new practice facility or
Hmm.
practice field. Let me connect with, and most HBCUs now have exclusive contracts with apparel dealers, Nike,
Hmm.
Under Armour, and Adidas. But let me contact this person to see if I can get me an apparel deal with whatever company, insert the company. So
Hmm.
I wouldn't say it would take a visionary, but it will require somebody to understand the blueprint that he set and to build out that house that start to create that foundation for what he's done, to build on the foundation that he's left
Hmm.
for HBCU coaches to be successful.
And it doesn't have to be just one person. It can be a collective,
Right.
because just like you said, Dion was
Exactly.
trying to bring all schools together. He's trying to bring all HBCUs together, all coaches, all administrators, all athletic directors, everybody together to be able to like you said, do a collective bargaining agreement, but also put y'all minds together to figure out how you can keep this thing paving forward. You know what I'm saying? So a visionary
Hmm.
doesn't have to be one person. It's just like D'Lo said, it doesn't have to be a visionary, but it could be a collective group of people that keep this vision moving forward. So that way y'all can all
Hmm.
put your ideas in one bucket and say what y'all think will work and what y'all don't think will work and kind of make it move forward from there. But it doesn't have to stop here. It doesn't have to stop here. And this blueprint is not going to stop because he left JSU and went to Colorado. I bet you he is going to be okay. Who we playing this week? Or who we got for the beginning of the day? Oh, we got NCCU. Okay, so what is Alabama going to give Marshall to come play them? Are they giving them 2 mil? All right, cool. We're gonna give NCCU 1.5. It ain't got to
Hmm.
be 400,000 no more. It ain't got to be 500,000 no more to go up there and get beat up 70-0. Let's
Right.
if Colorado gonna play NCCU, I bet you he gonna be one of the first ones to be like, okay, we're gonna give them more money than what they give them. That's what I
Hmm.
think, and we can talk about that later. But it doesn't have to stop just because he left Colorado. That's what I believe. And for the people who think it's going to stop, y'all just people who are followers and y'all not leaders. You're not leaders in a situation where you don't believe that you can take those footsteps and take that guideline that he created and follow it and go and make it better or keep it going. Y'all was just waiting for Coach Prime to do everything for you. And now that he's gone, it's like, oh, well, shit, what we gonna do now? But y'all ain't got that
Yeah.
leadership mindset to say, okay, cool, he gone. We ain't got to stop. We can keep rolling.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
the thing that okay, I know that Coach Prime, and we've said it throughout this whole podcast so far. I know that he's a big personality, and with big personality comes, big request, comes a lot of attention
I was
because
a
they're
big,
going to
big
do the
attention.
things
Yep.
right. They're going to do the things necessary to, I wouldn't say necessary, but they're going to do the things that draws the attention. They're going to
Hmm.
say the things that draws the attention. They're going to put on the stuff that draws the attention. They're going to they're going to do whatever it is that draws them the attention.
Hmm.
But just because he's gone, you still have NFL or high caliber coaches in HBCU. Like I
Hmm.
said, Eddie George is at Tennessee State. You got Hugh Jackson at Grambling. Now,
Hmm.
they're not the personalities that Deion Sanders is, but they know what it takes to be successful. Hugh Jackson was an NFL coach.
Hmm.
Eddie George is a Hall of Famer. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Is Eddie George a Hall of Famer? Let's see.
I think so. I
Hmm.
think he
Go
is.
ahead.
If
I'm
he's
still
not,
listening.
he was. If he's not a Hall of Famer, he definitely was a top tier running back in the NFL for quite some time. Both these individuals know what a program should look like, what how to run programs. You still have those top tier. You still have those type of people in the HBCU that can take what Dion has done, as I mentioned, mold it to however they want it to be that fits them, and build on what he has done.
Hmm. Yep. And just so you know, Eddie
Is
George's been in the Hall of Fame since 2011. So yeah, he's in the Hall of
Okay,
Fame
so
for
yeah,
sure.
he's a Hall of Famer.
Hmm.
Exactly. So he's gonna draw the attention to Tennessee State and ultimately or hopefully to HBCUs just because he's a Hall of Fame football player that is now
Hmm.
coaching in the HBCU ranks.
For sure, for sure. And a lot of these other coaches can pick their brain as to, how to get these recruits or how to, upgrade the facilities or how to get these connections and these relationships with these companies to be able to get your jersey contract or get your flight contract or whatever you need to do. Whatever Dion has done at Jackson State can be done elsewhere. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
stop. And I want and it just goes back to that mindset of you got to have a leadership mindset. You can't be a follower all your fucking life. So you need to figure out exactly what he was doing and try to if not you're not gonna be able to replicate it, but you can take what he did and mold it to your own and move forward from there. But you can't just sit back and say, well, damn, he left. Now who gonna talk to the media? Who gonna go to bat for us out here in HBCUs? You can do it. You can do it.
Hmm.
You just got to have that mentality and that mindset to say, okay, shit, I'm gonna just walk in his footsteps and make sure that I try to make sure that I put the right image out there for me and HBCUs alike, so that way we can keep this dream moving forward. That's what we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so my final thoughts on it is that, it's not going to stop at Coach Prime. While
Oh,
he is the blueprint, or he has set the blueprint, and he has shown how coaches can be successful in the HBCU ranks. It's not going to stop with just Coach Prime. It's going to, somebody will come along and pick up the ranks and restore the pageantry and the pride that HBCU schools have had for the last 3 years, being that Coach Prime was a part of the ranks. So I don't think we should feel any type of remorse or feel any type of neglect or any type of anger towards Coach Prime for
Mm-hmm.
leaving, because he did set the blueprint to let HBCU coaches and fans know that it can be done and it will be done again.
For sure, for sure. And my final wisdom on it would be, now that we have the blueprint, we don't need people, like I said before, sitting back and, oh, woe is me because we don't have our voice no more. No, you be the voice. You take the
Mhm.
blueprint and you be the voice for the HBCUs, and you take it and you keep this thing driving forward and moving forward, because we can't stop here. We still have Coach Prime. Coach Prime is still going to advocate for HBCUs and smaller universities. But since if you are one of these people who are still in this community, take that blueprint and you be the leader for the, not, you can be you and a group of people, but stop crying about Coach Prime leaving and take that blueprint and move forward with it. So that way everybody can move forward and progress the same way and be happy. So that's my final wisdom on it. But before we move into the next topic, make sure you stop what you're doing, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so we can keep bringing you content like this all the time.
100%. So we always hear about following the money. And
Yeah.
even with
Yeah.
Coach Prime being highly successful and well paid in his past endeavors, money has seemed to find its way into this situation as well. So, Six, how do you think money played a part in Coach Prime's decision to leave Jackson State?
I think it played a part, just knowing who Coach Prime is. I mean, he was going to take, if it wasn't, like you say, if it wasn't Colorado, it was going to be somebody else. He was going to always progress his coaching career regardless. Um, I think it played a big part. But before we even get into where he's at now with Colorado, we can talk about the money he put into the University of Jackson State University, because he was taking money out of his own paychecks, from his coaching paychecks. What would you say, it was half of his paychecks?
Half his paycheck was going to upgrade the facilities at Jackson
Mm-hmm.
State, or to just boost the athletes' experience while they're at Jackson State. That was like paying for meals while they were on the road,
Mm-hmm.
moving them from the campus to hotels when they had that water
Mm-hmm.
crisis. I mean, it was just a lot of stuff he was doing with
And
his money.
not even that, he has to pay Jackson State a buyout of his contract that is reportedly to be $300,000 before he can even sign the contract. Well, I'm pretty sure he already done it now, because he's been announced as the coach of Colorado. But prior to he even signing the contract to be the coach of Colorado, he had to pay Jackson State University a $300,000 buyout for his contract that he had with them, to be able to move to be a bigger head coach, because his contract wasn't fulfilled. So
So
if
Colorado paid that probably.
Colorado probably most likely paid that to be able to get him there. But
Yeah.
and his contract was set to expire on December the 15th with Jackson State, which would be another 5 days from now at the end of this week. So
Mhm.
pretty sure Colorado paid that to get him out of there. But I couldn't find it. I don't know if you did, but what was his contract? What was his salary that he's going to be getting paid at Colorado? Did you find that?
So he is set to make, I believe, $5 million at Colorado a year.
5 million a year. Okay.
Um,
And
5 million a
from
year. Yeah,
mhm. And for what I know, he wasn't even making $1 million a year playing coaching at Jackson State.
he was making 300,000 a year at Jackson State.
And that's why, and that goes back to say why, because I think he had one more year left on his contract with Jackson
Mhm.
State, which is why he had to pay that $300,000 back, because okay, that makes sense now. So 5 million, bro, bro. If any job if I'm going from 300,000 a year to 5 million a year, I don't think there's
Mhm.
too many people who would sit here and say, nah, I'm gonna stay here because of my roots and bruh.
So his contract with Colorado, the package is total of $29.5 million over 5 years. So he'll be making about $5-6 million a year.
Almost almost 6 million a year. So yeah, so I don't know anybody out there who's been calling this man a sellout that would turn down 5 million a year to keep getting 300,000 a year. I don't know nobody
Yeah,
out there. That's
yeah,
over
and that
10 times your money, bro. That's like 15 times the money you making. Who would leave that on the table? Who? Oh,
right,
nobody. I don't think
yeah,
nobody would.
yeah, and so I do think that plays a small part of him leaving Jackson State. But I don't think the money is a total, like, that part of the money is a total reason why he left Jackson State. I just think he said it when he came into Jackson State, is
Mm-hmm.
that he's going to take a look at Power 5 schools if they come
Mm-hmm.
offering, to see what they if they
See
come
what
offer,
they have to
and to
offer.
see what they have to offer, because any coach, the ones that are still in HBCUs, the coaches that coach little league football, if they are taking coaching seriously, they're going to want to get to the highest level possible of the
Mm-hmm.
coaching profession. Now, and that goes for black, white, Latin, whatever the case may be. They're
Mm-hmm.
all going to want to get to the highest level. And so, does he love coaching? He absolutely
Absolutely.
loves coaching. He loves
Absolutely.
having an impact on young men's life and trying to mold them into uh, to be great men, not only football players but great men.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that his first head coaching opportunity at the college ranks, has come from an HBCU. And
Mm-hmm.
we all know that HBCUs, as you mentioned earlier, don't have the same wallet that most PWIs have.
100%.
Now, I'm not gonna say that all HBCUs go through this situation, because there are some that are well off,
Mm-hmm.
but we also know that Coach Prom had a great career professionally,
Mm-hmm.
where he made a decent amount of money, and then he also had a career where he was a analyst or a host
Mm-hmm.
of a TV show on
And on the
Fox,
NFL net,
or
or
on the
was it Fox
NFL
or
Network.
NFL Network? Yeah.
It was NFL Network. So
Mm-hmm.
he got paid well from that. So I say all that to say that I don't think, like, his actual paycheck, like Deion Sanders' paycheck, was the reason for him wanting to leave Jackson State. The ultimate reason he left Jackson State was because, one, he wants to get to the highest level possible
Mm-hmm.
as a coach, but
Mm-hmm.
also he owed it to these other coaches that he brought in to Jackson State, that weren't getting paid as much as they were getting when they were head coaches of the NFL.
Right.
He had Mike Zimmer as a daggone defensive assistant at Jackson State, not making anywhere near what he made at as the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, or being a coach in
Mm-hmm.
the NFL.
Right.
So now he's able to take not only the his self to make $5 million, but all the other coaches that he has with him can get a boost in salary as well. He has all these
Mm-hmm.
other resources that he has to his, has at his fingertips, to
Mm-hmm.
pull in recruits to come to Colorado. So I say all that to say, I don't think it was solely his paycheck that was the reason for him leaving Jackson State, but money did play a big part in him wanting to leave, or
And
leaving
I
Jackson State.
and I agree with you. It does have a lot more to do with the money because, like you said, the resources, helping other people, helping his coaching staff, that has a lot to do with it. But I'm gonna put it in the context like this because I'm still kind of hurt by the sellout term. And like you said, I'm hurt by people
Mm-hmm.
calling him a sellout
Right.
because I'm gonna do it like this because it was a few episodes back where you put it into perspective for me as far as bread, right? So if say for and just to take it out of the standpoint of coaching and athletics, right? Any of us would be a sellout, quote unquote, right? If I'm working at Cricket Mobile, right, making
Mm-hmm.
50,000 a year, but
Mm-hmm.
then somebody, an executive at Apple, comes in and sees me working at Cricket Mobile going hard and selling these plans and getting people to leave AT&T to come to Cricket because just being the salesperson that I am, and somebody from Apple comes in and says, okay, cool, how much you make it here? 550,000. Okay, what if I gave you 300,000 to come work at Apple?
Mhm.
You think anybody who's calling Dion a sellout would not take that job? If you're going from 50K to 300K in your salary per year, anybody would take that job. So
I mean,
we
you
so
can
we
go
so,
even.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say you can even take it another step and not only talk about salary, talk about the living conditions.
Hmm.
Where would you rather be, Jackson, Mississippi, or Boulder, Colorado?
Honestly, I probably would much rather be in Jackson, but that's just me because I've been in Jackson before.
Why?
Number one, there is, I mean, okay,
The heat, the warmth.
yes, yes, that's
Okay,
just my
okay.
personal
Other than
preference.
that,
But
okay.
yes,
Other
but
than that,
I agree with you. I would much rather, in opposed to being in the impoverished town of Jackson, I would much rather be in Boulder. Yes,
and so
one
that's
hundred
what I'm
percent
saying. As far the overall living conditions
living conditions
of Jackson, of Mississippi in general,
in
really,
general.
because we
Very
talked
true.
about Mississippi, we
When
talked
we're talking
about
about Brett
Mississippi,
Favre.
we talked about Brett Favre, right, and how
Hmm.
the black community is. We're,
I mean, Mississippi
it's
itself
a
is
clear difference.
one of the poorest states in the country.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know what I'm saying?
So
So yes,
yeah,
100%. So I
yeah.
would much
Well, I'm
rather
sorry, I
be in
meant to cut
Boulder.
you off.
No, you good. I would much rather be in Boulder as well, just with the living conditions and things of that nature too. Than I would much rather be in Jackson. So if you have more, if you have more resources, more money, and better surroundings, most people would take that. Most
Hmm.
people would take that. I mean, you do have some people who have pride and they be like, well, I'm staying in the community, but it's just like Uncle Elroy on next Friday, bro. I got that check. I was gone. You know what I'm saying? Like these people say I love the hood and I never leave the hood. Yeah, you right. But I got that check and I was gone. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, exactly.
But a lot of people are like that. The majority of people are like that. No, I
Hmm.
don't know a single person, including you. Like I think you would too. I don't know a single person in my circles that wouldn't take a pay raise for with better facilities and better resources and better surroundings over what they currently have right now. I don't know a single person.
100%.
I don't
Because
know a single
it's
person.
all about growth.
It's all about
All about growth.
I was just about to say that. It's all
And
about growth,
if
man.
you're not growing, yeah, if you're not growing, then what are you doing? If you're not trying to grow, because some people grow just because they fall into situations,
Hmm.
and then other people actually try to grow, and then for whatever reason, opportunities don't present themselves. But if
Hmm.
you're not trying to grow, then what are you really doing with your life? If you aren't taking advantage of the opportunities that you've given, and doing everything you can to maximize those opportunities, then you're not living life right, because
100%.
everybody should take the opportunities that they are given and maximize those opportunities. And clearly, without a shadow of a doubt, Deion Sanders did that at Jackson State. And to get back to the money aspect of it, not only was he given half of his check to update the facilities for the athletes, it was also written that he helped like portions of the regular students' life experience at Jackson State, with half of his check being given to the school. And then the big elephant in the room, as far as that has come out in the last couple of days, I don't know if it's true or not. Can't get any true confirmation on it. Is that Jackson State actually was like finagling the books so they wouldn't have to give him all the money that they were required to give him for selling
Hmm.
out games. So they were saying
Really?
that, yeah, so they were in his contract. It says if Jackson State sells over $30,000 worth of tickets at the gates, then he would be able to receive 10% of
Hmm.
whatever the outcome was for the game. And so in the clip that we talked about a while ago when we were talking
Hmm.
about Coach Prom when he was on EYL, if you
Hmm.
recall, you remember he said, and they may not like it, but I'm honest. And he said, we got some people that are stealing money from the school. How you
Hmm.
gonna tell me that we sold out the game, but then I go look at the receipts for the books and it's only $28,000? Somebody messing with my money, they're taking money out my pocket. That's what
Mhm.
he was talking about. He was talking about
Okay. Okay. Okay.
if the games have been sold out, then it's no way that we only sold $28,000 worth of tickets. It's way more than that, and so that's money that should be coming in my pocket. So on one end, you have him saying that, or one end you have him giving money to the school to help with facilities all around, not just for his athletes, and then
Mhm.
he's also supposed to get money to come back to him. He's not getting
Mhm.
that.
And they
And
getting
again,
that.
he's not getting that. And I again I cannot truly confirm that, but it's been
Mhm.
thrown around quite a bit as far as
Mhm.
Jackson State finagling the books, whoever it may be,
Mm.
and him not getting the money that he was supposed to get for selling out those games. And it's an aspect of HBCUs that we don't like to talk about, but it is something that comes up quite often. Is
Right.
things ain't quite right sometimes when it comes to people stealing out of the
Mhm.
financial aid office, whatever the case may be, and money just ain't right in certain areas of
I mean, it
HBCUs.
happened. It happened recently. No, well, I won't say recently. Probably about 5 years ago, where somebody was stealing money at NCCU through the
Hmm.
admissions. You know what I'm saying? It came out
Yeah,
recently, probably about like, well, I keep saying recently, but well, recent is 5 years to me. It's kind of recent, but it's about five
yeah,
years
yeah.
ago. Somebody from NCCU was
Right.
stealing money, and it happens. It happens more than people know. It's just not reported as much.
Hmm.
And
Right.
like you said, Dion can tell that somebody is messing with the books, but it's not reported as much as people would like to think it would be. So, and that's something I didn't. I mean, I heard him say that, but I didn't know he was talking about them ticket sales and how he was supposed to get money off of that. Because there's no way if he's selling out, if the tickets is $30 and you got, what I'm saying, 100,000 people in the stands, which I don't think Jackson State hosts that many, but that's got to be
Nah,
way more than
60,000.
60,000. So exactly.
Yeah.
So come on, bro. You know
Right.
that that's going to be way more than 28 grand coming into
Even
the
if tickets
books.
was $5 a
Even tickets
person,
was
it
five
would be
dollars a
more than.
person. That's come on,
And
bro.
we know that's
Like
not the case.
not
And
the
we know
case.
that's not the case.
Not the case. Because
So
at Central, them joints was what you had to pay $20 to get into at least to get into man. Come
exactly.
on, bro. Come on, bro. So we
So
already know.
and Jackson State's average attendance for this year was 45,000 and something. So even if they gave away, let's say 10,000 tickets, you do the math, $20 times 35,000 is well over 30,000.
Nigga. For,
Exactly.
if they sold every ticket 45K. Well, I'm gonna just go back. I'm gonna go back. Let me clear that. 35,000 people times $20.
Hmm.
Seven
Well
hundred
over
thousand dollars.
30,000.
Well,
Yeah,
seven
I mean
hundred thousand
we
in ticket
what
sales.
are we talking about? Yeah, what are we talking about
And he's
here?
supposed to get 10% of that. That's 70K that he's not getting in his pocket. And he only making 300,000, which half of that is going back to the university.
Hello.
Come on, bro. So come on,
Hello.
bro. So, but he didn't make a big spiel about it because it didn't matter to him. It didn't matter to
Exactly.
him.
That's what yes,
It
exactly.
didn't matter to him
You
because he
don't
wanted to
hear him. You
pour back
never heard.
into. Exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, go ahead. You finish yours.
Like
My
I say,
fault.
you like you said, he wanted to pour back into the university and and set a standard for how a HBCU should be ran and try to bring more awareness to the imbalance between PWIs and HBCUs. He didn't care that they was messing with the books because
Hmm.
if you hold 45,000 people and then every ticket is 30,000 and you only got bro, that means 1,000 people are coming to the games. That's not true.
Hello.
If
Right.
their average attendance was what you say 45K 45,000 people was their average
Their average
attendance.
attendance was 45,000 like 353.
But you mean to tell me that we only getting ticket sales for 1,000 people? Come on now, come on
Something's
now.
not right.
So something ain't
Yeah.
right, and that's 70K out of his pocket. But he don't give it. He didn't give a damn. Just
And
like
these
D'Lo
aren't
alluded to. He made money in his career. He made money as an analyst. He's probably got major crazy investments that's putting money in his pocket. So he didn't care about the money coming from JSU. He wanted to make sure that the university was taken care of. But just to kind of go back behind that, that's kind of crazy, bro.
it's crazy, right? And
Yeah.
especially for him to not say anything publicly other than,
Mm-hmm.
alluding to it on the EYL Earn Your Leisure podcast
Mm-hmm.
in
Shout out to them.
September, but 100%, that we rock with them
Rock
all
with
the
them
way.
heavy.
Yeah, but for him not to, publicly say anything this whole time, his whole 3 years at Jackson State, and it finally comes out as he's leaving because of the backlash he's been getting, it says
Mm-hmm.
a lot about him as a person and his character, honestly.
100%. I
Because
agree with
you
you.
you also don't hear about you also never heard about this until he left, is him paying for, half his paycheck going to those facilities, half his paycheck going to help feed the team, half his paycheck going to upgrade, well, I already say upgraded facility, but him using his connections as well to
Hmm.
get them a field turf practice field.
Helping the
He,
kids,
he,
helping the
he
players live in situations and stuff like that. Yeah, man.
Exactly. So it says a lot about his character, man. And so, we always say follow the money, and the money usually tells the story, and it usually gets you to where you need to be to find out the full extent of the story.
100%, man. 100%, man. And I mean, as far as my final take on it, my final wisdom on it, did he follow the money? Yes, but not for the reasons that a lot of people are thinking. And I always say, I'm glad we had these conversations because it gives me a different perspective coming from you. Is that he didn't follow it for a paycheck. He followed it for different resources and different amenities. You know what I'm saying? And he's
Hmm.
going to be able. He's going to use. I believe, and this is just my personal opinion. I believe that Coach Prime is going to use these resources and these amenities to continue to help HBCUs. I don't think he's just going to stop because he went to Colorado. I think he's going to make. I think he's
Hmm.
going to make an example with Colorado. Honestly, he's going to give more money to the HBCUs whenever they play them in these early season games. He's going to kind of give. He's going to keep the blueprint rolling and kind of give the HBCUs a better outlook on what how a program should be ran. So yes, did he get a bigger paycheck? Yes, but that's not why he left. He left because he wanted to
Hmm.
progress in his career, not because he got $5 million a year in opposed to 300,000. But if
It
you want to call
helps.
it helps 100%. But if you want to call him a
Right.
sellout, you would have sold out too. You would have sold out too.
100%.
All of us would have sold out. So
Absolutely.
stop acting like you wouldn't have sold out for $500 million, for $5 million over 300K. Stop acting like that. So yeah, but
Absolutely.
that's my final second. What
Yeah.
you think?
I mean, I can't say anything else. Honestly, what you said is what I would have said had I said
Hmm.
it first. Um, I just feel like the money aspect of it, people are trying to make it seem as if that is the main reason that he left,
Hmm.
and I don't
Right.
like you just said, and like I said to start out the segment, I don't feel like that is the reason. Um, he left you breadcrumbs the whole time that he was at Jackson State of what his intentions were, to
100%.
elevate Jackson State and HBCUs as much as he could while he was there. And if opportunity presented itself, um, from a Power Five school, he was going to take it. Um, is it unfortunate that he left Jackson State how he left it? As far as leaving when he did, some can argue that, but any person, as Sticks just said, would have left to get the resources that he now has access to have the potential to reward his coaches that have been with him for quite some time, because he does have coaches on his staff that have been with him since he was at Prime University or Prime Academy, whatever it was
Hmm.
in Texas,
Hmm.
that have been with him the whole time. He does have the opportunity now to entrench his family even more into his day-to-day life and his coaching trajectory, as he has with his his oldest son Dion Jr., his oldest daughter Deandra, and obviously he's taking Shador and Shiloh. Well, we don't know if he's taking Shiloh with him or not, but we know he's taking Shador with him. So
Hmm.
I would say stop trying to mask or paint Dion as the sellout that everybody wants to paint him, and just
Hmm.
appreciate what he did for HBCUs while he was there, and hope that he does not fail at Colorado, because if he does fail at Colorado, then that just continues to say that black coaches can't get the job done, when we know that's not the case.
Not, yeah, we know that's not the case. We definitely pray that he succeeds, and that's going to open doors for people in the future to be able to get more jobs in PWIs and possibly NFL jobs. We talked about that last week too. So
Hmm.
I mean, he's trailblazing right now. So let him blaze this trail, and open up these
Yep.
doors for more people in the future, so that way we can have better situations moving forward, man. That's what I believe.
A- Absolutely. And as we say, every segment, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Let us know what your thoughts are on Coach Prime leaving Jackson State, taking the Colorado job. Do you think he's a sellout, or don't you think he's a sellout? Do you think this was a good move for him, or do you not think this was a good move for him? We're interested to hear your take, and we'll be replying back to as many as we can. But yo,
100%.
Sticks, man, episode 13, the prime
Mm,
episode.
mm. Yes, sir. The prime episode,
The
man.
prime episode in the books, man. As always, man, I appreciate having these conversations with you. You say it all the
Yes,
time. It
sir.
changes my perspective. We didn't really get too much into your experience or my experience at the PWI and the HBCU, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's a conversation that we can have at another time. Maybe something else happens
100%.
with HBCU and PWIs where we can sit back and talk about our experiences and compare what we liked and what we didn't like about our
Mm-hmm.
experiences of the two. But as always, man, I appreciate you. I
Likewise, my
love
boy.
doing this. I love having this conversation. Glad we decided to do this podcast, man.
Yeah, man.
Turn it over to you. What's
Like
up?
it's been a long time coming, man. It's been a long time coming, man. But yeah, I mean, we could definitely get into that if something else comes up as far as HBCUs continuously talking junk or something happens on the campus or something like that. We can definitely talk about our experiences, but I definitely appreciate the time that we spend every Sunday putting these this podcast together, man. It gives us time from a distance to reconnect and keep the friendship
Hmm.
strong as it's been for the past over 2 decades now. So definitely appreciate you, my boy.
We old.
Definitely appreciate you. Man, listen. It's a 15-year-old in my kitchen right now. It's a
We
15
old.
year old in my
We
kitchen right
old.
now.
My God.
We old, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Yeah.
But until next time, folks, this has been episode 13, and we out, man.